Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is Brevort and today we are prepping for 1.20 because it's less than a week away. So first thing I'm going to do is absolutely nothing. I missed. We're gonna shoot a zombie pigman here and get them all to come over here. So what this will do is this will give me a lot of I'm getting some tick lag. A lot of entities to kill. Let's turn them down. So what I can do is, since I'm standing on top of a Shrieker, I can just keep killing them, and I will produce a lot of sculk. If I spam click, it will cause them to get more angry. So look at all the sculk sensors. I think I had 2 or 3. Now there's like 5 here. So and also the Shriekers have formed. So one thing I think would be really cool is just like covering my entire nether dimension in sculk. But that would take forever. But still, I think it would be a cool idea. And it's actually relatively easy to do. So many sculk sensors now. So there you go. So check that out. Pretty cool. You got all the... I think the babies drop even more too, so that's cool. So yeah, tons of sculk sensors. We had 2 Shriekers, and we still have only 2 Shriekers. So there's only like a tiny chance that a Shrieker will generate. I was surprised that I got 2 before I started. So it's like a 1% chance. Sculk sensors are one of the most... probably one of the things that I need the most, because that way I can make calibrated sculk sensors. So I didn't really find sculk sensors very useful, but now that there are calibrated sculk sensors, they are a lot more useful. And the other thing that really won me over with the sculk sensors is making the Shriekers waterloggable. Well, technically they're waterloggable before 1.20, but now if you waterlog them, they are silent. So that is very useful, because what you can do is, well, it's mostly just useful so it's not annoying, but you can use it as a filter to filter out player vibrations from other vibrations. So yeah. But we also want amethyst blocks for vibration resonance. Everyone's saying that's really cool, a really cool feature. I don't see it that useful though, because if you want to have multiple like vibration resonance things, you have to have them on different frequencies, and it's so easy to have something that you don't want to interrupt your frequencies. So down here, that looks so weird when you hold it, by the way. Huh, okay. Down here we have an amethyst geode. We actually have tons around here because this is generated in the 1.17 snapshots. And in those snapshots, amethyst geodes were like super common. There's actually, at one point, there's even a bug where they were generating more commonly than they were supposed to. So I put in pistons, but it's a huge mess. I found out it was pretty much a disaster to try to actually hook all of these up. So I wasn't too happy about that. The main reason I want to use pistons though is because if you're not careful, you can end up breaking the budding amethyst, which doesn't drop when you break it, and there's no way to like move it with pistons or anything. So it's kind of annoying. So I kind of wish I might be able to use my like slower pickaxe to mine these, but other than that, it's just not really worth it to mine by hand because it's such a pain. But of course, how do you get the sculk catalysts to begin with so that you can get the Shriekers, that you can farm the Shriekers and the sensors? Well, you're going to go to a deep dark, as you probably know. And yes, these are a little bit dangerous. If I'm sneaking and I take damage, will I not activate the Shriekers? Also, by the way, you could tell whether or not they are eligible to spawn wardens by, this is something I just recently learned, like a couple days ago actually. even though it's been out like a year now, almost. Actually, more than a year if you want to count the snapshots, which I probably would personally. So yeah, because my world was generated so much in 1.18, it was really hard for me to find any deep darks. So what I ended up doing, what you can do, is if you have a mountain biome and you know it wasn't generated in 1.18, which this one I know wasn't. Oh, what you can do, you can find like basically anywhere where the terrain goes really high up, especially if it goes over 200. So like over there would be a prime candidate, like up on top of here. This would be a perfect spot to, or actually over there would be even better. We're going to start here. I've already dug down here. And if you go down, you will usually end up in a deep dark, if you've not generated it in 1.20. And here we are in a deep dark. So that's actually a really good way to do it. Why did I hear a creeper take damage? Problem is, this is kind of like a bordering deep dark, so it's like on the edge of a deep dark and not a deep dark. So we're getting some amount of mobs spawning. Yeah, it's a drip zone cave right over here, which is actually one of my favorite biomes in the game. So yeah, you can head down. This goes deeper. And I'm not even looking for ancient cities because you can actually find these sculk catalysts in any deep dark. Should have brought night vision, shouldn't I have? Let's, for the sake of the video, let's use full bright. So yeah, I'm gonna do this just so that way we can see in the video. Usually I just use night vision, but yeah, this is probably gonna help a lot. So what I would recommend doing, I don't know if bats are meant to spawn in the deep dark. So in 1.20 there's a bug, at least in Java, where if you're sneaking, sometimes you'll still set off Shriekers, so I would be mindful of that. Like, usually it happens after you stop sneaking, but, well, it always happens after you stop sneaking, so just so you know, if you are playing the Java edition of the game, that is a bug that is in the game. I've had it happen myself. I haven't, since they said they fixed it, but they only made it like super rare, so it still does happen. But if you want to avoid that, then what I would recommend doing is just trying to sneak as much as you can when you're anywhere near a Shrieker. Oh, hello, friends. So actually, you'll notice that we are, this sculk actually is generating up very high. So this is well into the like default caves. This is at Y47. That is a very good sign that you have an ancient city underneath. If you have like sculk generating anywhere above like Y32, you usually have an ancient city underneath. So if we actually go down a lot further, let's see if we actually have one here. You won't always. Okay, so this is like actually one where I didn't find an ancient city, surprisingly. And I did kind of dig around, but I didn't find one. So, but quite often, very frequently, if you do have sculk generating high up, you will get an ancient city. So, the sheer number of sculk sensors in this cave is ridiculous. So yeah, that is, if you are looking for like maybe the silence armor trim, that is how I found mine, is through using like really high up mountains, and that tends to generate, well, the way that works, okay, so there's this value called depth. So this is only accessible on the Java edition. It exists on Bedrock, you just can't see it at all. So it's right here. It's under noise router. I got way too much stuff on my screen. I'm gonna shrink my GUI scale so I can show that. So actually, I kind of prefer this. Oh, whoops. Okay. So yeah, there is a value called depth. So it's right here. And I'm not sure exactly what value the deep dark starts generating at, but it's under noise router. You go T, this is temperature. V is vegetation. C is continentalness. E is erosion. D is depth. W is, I have no idea. And then the rest of this I don't think you even need to worry about. But the ones that you want to focus on are continentalness, erosion, and depth. So the one that's most important is depth. So depth is how far underground you are. And that's not like how far below sea level. It's actually how far you are under the surface of the ground. But if you, this is like not the same as the height map though. So like, let's say we are at, so right now you could see here, this is my height map. So this is client height and server height, which usually will be the same. I don't know in any circumstance where it won't be. These extra values are for like if there's like water above you, it'll calculate where like the surface of the water is compared to where the solid ground underneath the water is. So this will tell you right now, if I were to dig straight up, I'd have to dig to 173 before I'd hit the surface. However, if I were to completely flatten the mountain down to sea level, this number would change to 63. The depth value would never change at this exact coordinate though. So this is saying that my depth value is 1.55 approximately. So that will never change at any given coordinate. You can't change that. There's no way in game to change that I know of. It might be tied completely to the seed. So you don't need to worry about changing it though. It's not like a biome where it's like going to benefit you in any way by changing it. So there's just snow blocks in this cave. I wonder if that's a bug. That's kind of cool actually though. I like that. I like the thought of snow caves. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, does it need to make sense? I think not. So yeah, the depth value, when you're at the surface, it'll always be approximately 0. So now looking at my height value, it's saying 172, 171. So one of them is the snow layer and one of them is the actual block. So if I go ahead and break the blocks, it'll change my height map. So you saw the 172 went to 171. If I do this, it goes to 170. If I keep digging down, it goes down. However, the depth value at that top coordinate here will never change. So even though I can dig down, if I'm at this spot, it'll still be approximately 0 at that particular depth. So so the depth value is tied to where the surface should have generated. I think if like a giant cave cuts through, it won't account for that, which you'd kind of expect. So the higher the depth value, or the higher your height, the lower possible depth value you can have. So let's say we go over to this really high up peak. This is exactly why deep darks usually generate on these really high up peaks. I wish we could make it so the mountains generated higher up. So here we have a height value of exactly 200. And you can see I also dug down from here. So if we do go down here, let me eat so I can heal up first. If we do go down here, this might actually be the one where I landed right on the Shrieker. You'll notice, let's see where it first goes to Deep Dark. I'm going to F3 escape as soon as I do see Deep Dark. So we're at Dripstone Caves right now. That seems to be tied to low erosion values in my experience. Surprised we haven't hit it yet. There it is. Okay. So the depth value is minus, or 1.0. Okay. So I was looking at erosion, wasn't I? Yeah, because this goes up the lower down you go because it's depth. So yeah, 1.0 is when you hit deep dark. So once you hit about 1.0 is where you'll have the deep dark biome under other correct conditions as well. So like erosion. So, oh, I want to be in there. Can we go back up, please? And thank you. Okay. So do know that like the Shriekers and stuff can actually generate in these high up deep darks. So you do want to still be careful. However, this is actually not that high up, but the lower or the higher your depth value is, oh my goodness, there's a dungeon down here. That's cool. I don't think I knew this was here either. Well, that's not good. So yeah, there is a difference though between the naturally generated Shriekers and the deep dark generated Shriekers and the ones that you get from the from both the so once you break the Shrieker, it'll change it just a little bit, but it'll no longer be able to spawn the Warden. And the way that you can tell the difference is, like in that condition, it's so rare that you're going to actually encounter this problem, but like I just did. So suppose you have a spawner, and you have mobs spawning from that spawner, just like we did here. You could potentially have an issue where, oh man, got all the goodies. You could potentially have an issue where you have Shriekers, but you're not sure whether they are capable of spawning the Warden. Because like we saw earlier, the Shriekers can actually generate from the sensors, from the catalysts, right? So the difference between them is the spinning soul texture on these Shriekers is much more vibrant and spins much quicker. So if we actually look, take note of that. Now we're going to go grab one out of my ender chest, one of the ones that can't spawn a Warden because I had picked it up. If we go ahead and do that, oh no, not tools, redstone. If we go check this out, we place down one of these Shriekers. The souls actually spin a lot slower and they're not as vibrant. So it's hard to tell. But if we do set this one off, it doesn't have the heartbeat sound and it doesn't spawn the Warden. I can do this as many times as I want and it'll never set off it'll never spawn the Warden. But that's because I have picked that one up in the past. Or maybe that one happened to be generated from a catalyst. Either way, it doesn't really matter how it was created. Just that because I've picked it up, it can't spawn the Warden now. So that's kind of important to note. Let me take a screenshot of this coordinates here so I know where this is in case I ever want to come back here. So very cool. Very cool that there's that difference. I didn't know that was a thing, and I honestly was very surprised it was. I was like, that's got to be like a joke, right? There's no way that's a real feature. That's got to be like somebody suggested it, but it's not real. No, it's absolutely real. So, okay, so here we have a lone all by itself Shrieker. I'm going to look around real quick and make sure there's no sensors nearby. There usually is. I'm genuinely surprised that there's not a sensor here. No, it doesn't seem like there is. Okay, so these are actually totally fine to play around with and mess with and stuff as long as there is no sensor. So, and as long as you don't step on it. So this one you could see has the very bright, vibrant soul animation, and I can even walk right by it and stuff. As long as I don't step on it, I am perfectly safe from spawning the Warden here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the difference between this one and the ones that you can place down yourself. So if I actually go, like I was so surprised when I found this out. I was like, that's such a weird thing that I didn't even know existed. And this is something I love about Minecraft, is that you can always learn more about it. There's never, like, you've never completely mastered the game. You can think you have. I thought for sure I knew everything there was to know about 1.19. Turns out I didn't. So yeah, you can see here, this Shrieker that can spawn the Warden spins quicker. It also is spinning clockwise, and the one that can't spawn, the one that's player placed, spins counterclockwise. That's interesting. I didn't know that either. Interesting. That is so weird. Yeah, and also if you open your debug screen, this one has the can summon tag and this one doesn't. So, fun facts. And I can even step on this one and we'll be perfectly safe from the Warden. Because this one can't summon the Warden and this one can. So I'm actually going to leave that one there just to keep this like example set up. And I can even walk right by it perfectly fine. As long as there is no sculk sensor, the Shrieker isn't going to get set off on its own unless you step on it. Okay, so one thing I want to do is, for one, go mining for diamonds, which is what I'm doing here. I'm in some old chunks, so diamonds and redstone will actually generate super high up compared to what they will generate now. And something interesting that you might not know you can do is you can mine really efficiently by digging these one high tunnels. And all you need is, there's a couple different ways to do it, but you need either an elytra, or you can do it with a water bucket, or you can do it with a trapdoor. There's a couple different ways to do it, but what I would say is it's the most efficient way to mine because what you're able to do is... Why is there a lava lake down there? Oh, I know why. That's one of the ones that, like, generated. Let's see if we can... Okay. So yeah, sometimes lava lakes will actually generate below... Even in old chunks, they would have generated below, like, Y10. So, but yeah, what you can do, though... this is a really efficient way of mining because... you're checking 4 blocks at a time per every block you mine. So if I break this block, it exposes this block, this block, this block, and this block, and also this block. But, wait. Maybe it's exposing 5? I think it's 4. I'm not sure why it's 4. I don't have the capacity to figure that out right now. But, let's say it's 4. Basically, if you mine like this, it's a lot more efficient than if you mine like this, because you have this for every block you mine. You're only exposing 1, 2, 3 faces, and then 3 faces on the bottom half, 3 faces on the top half. So, but compared to this, where every block you mine, you expose 1 face. So, okay, there is that. That can be an issue. Yeah, you do have to be careful of lava. I wouldn't walk right up next to the thing. Because that can happen. Yeah. So, yeah, I do want to get diamonds, though, to for armor trims, so, and also netherite templates. So, I did get 18 so far, so that's good. But another thing I want to do before 1.20 is, I mean, I know I'm already in the snapshots, but, ooh, is get a book setup where we have the calibrated sculk sensor frequencies listed, and then we can make copies of this book and put it down as to his landing. Put it down as like our book that we use everywhere that we have calibrated sculk sensors. So that would be really cool. So, oh, okay, I know where this is. So can I? No, it's not gonna let me. I guess I could just do this. There we go. So, so I'm going to go through all the frequencies. And then this book I'll basically just use anytime, like I'll have copies of it probably in my ender chest, and anytime I need to use a calibrated sculk sensor, I'll just know that those are the correct frequencies. Oh, and you can use ender pearls to do this too. So there's a couple ways you could do it. So I got that done, and I put it into, not a redstone box actually, I put it into a separate box in here. Is it here? No, it's not there. Where is it? It's in here. Aha. Okay. So yeah, I got the sculk signals set up. I have another copy too, but this is the this is like the copy one. So I have 16 copies in here, and then I just have my original copy on me. I'm gonna throw that into my ender chest. So does this take up? This takes up. Okay, so these do only stack to 16. It looks like. So, one thing I thought that it would be smart to do is see how difficult it is to get netherite upgrades. So I did get one so far, and I haven't used it because I do want it for a backup in case I lose the first one. So I'm going to just kind of fly around, find some piglin bastions, and raid them, and see how many we get and how long it takes to get them. I spent quite a while flying around, and I actually got 2 rib armor trims, which was the 3rd hardest one to get, other than the pillager one and the silence armor trim. So it looks like I found 4. So is that better than spending... Yeah, I found 4. So is that better than spending 7 times 4, 28 diamonds on it? I think not. Like, I think it's better just to use diamonds. Because, like, diamonds you could find just about anywhere. Like, diamonds are so common. Like, within a single chunk, I guarantee you there's at least enough to fortune it. If you fortune it, I guarantee it's enough to have 28 diamonds. Like, in just a single chunk. So, the fact that it was that much work to get that few of them, I don't think it's really worth doing that way at all. So, I don't know. Anyways, guys, that is about it for this episode, but the next one will be in the full release of 1.20, so I'm really excited about that. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, Castle Capitalist Modem Tardum, and goodbye!